Okay, everyone, just calm down. Okay, we got stuff to talk about. We have over here the ToneX one. The little version of the big ToneX has disrupted the whole amp modeling world when it came out a few years ago. The Tone King. This thing sounds amazing. But enter the GP-5 by Valeton. We need to talk about this. Some people say you shouldn't compare these two because they're not the same thing. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're the same thing. Why would you even say that? At least the way I'm going to use it. And if you're a consumer like me trying to figure out if you're going to purchase one of these or any of these, they're definitely worth comparing. They're the same size. And there's a lot of things in common. So we're going to talk about it today. We're going to put them head to head. Hopefully this video will help you as kind of like a little buyer's guide. Which one should you get? Share some wisdom, pros and cons. I'm going to break it down into like 4 different categories. We're going to talk about price, the effects, the amps, and the like workflow and functionality. Let's get into it. All right, price. When it comes to the ToneX, the price seems to shift a little bit. It's been $179 for like a long time, $180, and now it's $169 or $170. Pretty good deal when you're thinking about buying an amp. Like I used to have a Blues Junior that I bought on Craigslist in like 2009. I paid $350 for it. $180 for an amp, not just one amp, all the amps, great price. But then enters this guy, $80, $79.99 right now. I mean, they may see the value in this and it may start going up, but right now, only $80 for an amp, a bunch of amps, and a bunch of different effects. Is it worth half the price? So let me just talk about it real quick. If you're thinking about ToneX, one, a lot of us, if you know me, we like to pair 2 ToneXs together. I have a dual ToneX board. I'm about to make a pedal board with these mini ToneXs right here. It's something a lot of us love to do because you can put an amp on this side, an amp on this side. So if you have money for both of these, that's great. You're gonna be spending $360, but say you only have 180 or 170 for this guy, could you then now afford 2 of these, half the price, and have 2 different amps? That's something to consider. Or maybe you only have $80 and that's fine because of the rest of the things we're going to talk about. One of which, both of these, it's true for both of these, it's mono in. So you would put like your compression, your drives, and I'm going to try to hook some up today so we can hear what they sound like. Compression, drives, any other mono effects before, like mono modulation, and then come out TRS on the other side. Boom. TRS right there, and then run into any stereo modulation, stereo delays, stereo reverbs, and have this like huge wide worship sound with just one Valeton GP-5. So price, GP-5, you win that one. All right, the next important thing we got to talk about, wet effects. Wet effects. There's 2 things that are very important about the wet effects. Both of these have reverbs, delay, modulation built in. One major problem is that the ToneX does not have spillover or trails, however you want to look at it. Trails is usually toggling on and off an effect. Spillover is usually going from one like preset or capture to another. Either way, it doesn't have it. ToneX doesn't have it. You can have this big ambient reverb, which we can hear what those sound like, and switch to another setting and it just cuts off. Okay, the Valeton has trails. You can turn it on with delays and reverbs. That is a big deal to me. And the second thing I want to say is that the reverbs, the delays, they sound better. In my opinion, the reverbs sound better than the reverb in the ToneX. I think it gets more ambient. There's a specific setting in there called, I don't remember, not the deep C one, but the other one. We'll look at it in a minute. It just sounds more full, more rich, at least for the worship sound. And the delays. The delays in the ToneX, I've never liked them. It's just a little awkward. There's like analog, there's digital, there's ping pong, and like when you switch one to stereo and then you switch from analog to digital, it switches it back to mono and you gotta switch it back to digital, and it never has sounded that great. So I've never relied on ToneX for the wet effects. But with the GP-5, I'm like, these effects actually sound pretty good. So there's my thoughts on wet effects. All right, let's talk about functionality and then we'll hook it up and I'm gonna talk about amps and show you some of those wet effect things we were talking about. All right, functionality and workflow. Both units really require another piece of gear to fully access all the features that they can provide, which is kind of cool. I give the ToneX a leg up with the tactile nature of it. Okay, so let's look at this. We have We have this big knob here, which I love. I use it all the time. We have bass, middle, and treble, so you can do stuff on the fly without having to dig into too many menus. ToneX one, you get a thumbs up for that. There's also, these are lighted, and so you get immediate feedback, which I think is amazing. Plus you have this alt button that you can hold, and then you get the sub menus, which is what? Gate, comp, and reverb, and gain on your amp. So without having to hook this thing up to the computer or an app, you can make changes to your tone on the fly. I do love that. Now, bring in the Valeton. What I like about this has the leg up. It has a cool screen, which I love. It kind of tells you what's going on. ToneX doesn't have that. It has these two encoders right here. This one's a button, and you have the foot switch. I do like the workflow of this when it comes to set list building. I demonstrated that in my other video, but the cool thing about it is that it has an app. I can literally bring up the app if I want to make changes on the fly. Like say I want to change an effect. That effect doesn't work. That amp is not working with the guitar I brought today, and I want to do something other than just change EQ. I want to change the delay settings or the BPM. I can just hook up my phone via Bluetooth without having to hook it up to a computer and make those changes immediately on the fly. That is a leg up for the GP-5 for sure. And one more thing, and I haven't tried it, but since you can hook your phone up via Bluetooth, you can actually just play audio from your phone and stream it right through the device. And in the app, there's a setting for volume, so it makes it really easy to practice. You could just import the set list that you're gonna play. I mean, I don't have to import it. I guess you could just go to Planning Center, Multitracks, or just Spotify and play music through this, and you can play on top of it. Planning Center, all sufficient merit. I have my reverb on, so my song is gonna go through the reverb, but let's listen to it. All right, no trails. Effects that I've not been impressed with. Wet effects that I have been impressed with. The other effects, before we move on to amps and hook it up, the other effects I was not impressed with in this thing. The pitch, horrible, unusable. The drives, definitely not my favorite. They did not sound good. And I also didn't like the organization of how they put boost in the compression folder. I would like to be able to, instead of the drive, since I didn't like them, I would like to be able to use compression and a boost, a clean boost, rather than have to use a drive, but I can't because they're in the same block. So the organization of how they did the blocks, I would try to change that, because boost in my mind is a drive, not just compression. If you need more boost out of your compression, you can just bump up the level, or the makeup gain. So anyways, there's a few things lacking in this as well. Okay, amps though. What about amps? Let's plug it up and hear it. All right, first, let me show you how easy it is to set up the app. You bring it up like this, you say link. If it doesn't show up there, you hold this, but I'd already held it, so it's continuing to link, which I think is awesome. Connect the device, and here we are. This is the preset I'm on. I've created a couple different presets. When we think about what each device sounds like, we are only limited to whatever sounds we put in there, whether it be the modeler or the capture. There's a lot of good sounds in the ToneX, and there's a lot of good sounds in here, and it kind of depends on which one you pick, and there's infinite choices. So for someone to say which one sounds better, it's really kind of hard to decide, other than we can do some tests. And I'm going to just try to pull up some favorite sounds that I have over here and some other sounds that I have pulled up in the ToneX. We'll see how they take drives. I might even, in this video or another video, we will see, hook these up with some other external pedals and run some drives into them. Let's do it in this video. Anyways, here's how the amp sounds. This is one of my favorite sounds in the Valeton. Now, let me show you that reverb that I was talking about earlier. It's called Sweet Space. Let's turn it on. And then right here we have trails, so that when we make the tail really long and the decay really long, let's put up the dampening, a lot of mod. Now, the trails I'm hearing now for the first time, they're actually not perfect. When I switch it off, I actually hear a switch. Even though it does continue to trail on. Same with the delay. We could put a delay on. Let's have a tape delay. Yes, we'll do tape. A lot of mix, a lot of, sometime a lot of feedback. Turn the trails on. So even though this seems to be like this little bit of a blip, I don't know if that blip is because of the app or not. So right here we have different things we can set up. So let's set up the patch and let's turn on reverb and delay with the patch. Boop, boop. There we go. So. So the on and off doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. Let me just show you the drives real quick. I didn't really like the drives. I mean, it doesn't actually sound that bad once you dial it in. I had to bring the tone all the way up and adjust some of the volume. You do hear like a little bit of sound. The other cool thing is there's a noise gate, which there's a noise gate in the ToneX as well. And it cleans up all of that sound. Okay, so now how does the ToneX stack up? We have a little bit of reverb on. Now, right off the bat, I just feel like the ToneX is unsurpassed when it comes to amp capture tech. I mean, it sounds more like a real amp to me. It breaks up like a real amp. I mean, that just sounds so good. Now, let's move up the reverb. I'm going to hold down the Alt button so it's flashing. We're going to crank the reverb. We can use the big knob here to adjust gain. Volume. So let me know in the comments what you think about the amp choices, at least the ones I picked up. Those are the two I would use if I had to use either one of these this coming Sunday morning. Now, let's take some time and hook them up with some other pedals. All right, so I'm not gonna take too much time, but here is a setup. We got some at the Aspen Overdrive by Case Study. We got the Kernum Ridge. We got some drive options to see how the drives go into the ToneX and the GP-5, and I'll alternate or I'll clip them together as I edit. We have some delay, we got some chorus, and some reverb. So let's just hear how it sounds. Quick demo. This is the Tone Shepherd AC30 T-Cat Capture. Nothing's messed with it, it's all stock. right, so tell me, which one are you getting? Which one did you think sounded better? Again, I didn't compare like apples to apples. There was an AC30 in here, and there was this other capture that had this, what was it, UK 800 clean or something like that. So it wasn't like AC30 versus AC30. I don't think that's super helpful. I would just pick two sounds that I think I would use, and we're kind of similar. What did you think? Let me know down in the comments. Which would you get? What would you advise someone else? What would you tell somebody in your worship ministry if they were like, hey, I'm in the market for a modeler? Pros, cons, let me know down below. You can also click the link if you are in the market, help support the channel. Just affiliate links from Amazon is all that is. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye.